Hi everyone and welcome to my show Behind the Music on RCS Radio Bridge Week. My name is Hans Fischer and I am an Erasmus exchange student from Germany in the composition department. As I have written in the advertisement, this show is about analyzing music, considering both a harmonical approach and of course a melodical as well. Why I came up with this idea in the first place has different reasons. Back in Germany, I am studying in the musical theory department as well, and I have noticed that there is a gap between instrumentalists and theorists. Some say music cannot be explained by little signs upon the stave, and the others, without a theoretical part, there is no music. Of course, I am a wee bit exaggerating here. There is no Star Wars going on in Germany, but I can tell from some talks to my fellow students that there is a kind of a misunderstanding between those departments mentioned above. In my opinion, it's perfectly understandable that students who have to focus on their main field of study do not have the time to become acquainted with analyzing music. And that's the reason why I have brought up this show. My aim is to provide you with some ideas of what to look for when not listening but watching music. Therefore, I was searching for some music which could be familiar to you, which uses on the one hand common types of harmonization, but on the other hand exceptional ones as well, and which is also nice to listen to. I picked up 3 pieces of music which are When Somebody Loved Me by Randy Newman, He's a Pirate by Hans Zimmer, and a novelette in C major by Francis Poulenc. The procedure is always going to be the same. First of all, we are going to listen to the piece once, and then I will analyze it while playing the most important melodies on the piano. Then let's start. The first title I would like to talk about is the song When Somebody Loved Me by Oscar-winning composer Randy Newman. The surname Newman is quite famous in Hollywood, since both Randy, his cousins Thomas and David, and his grandfather Alfred are very popular in this genre. Alfred Newman is the composer of the famous 20th Century Fox flourish, which is played at the beginning of each movie. But Randy doesn't need to hide behind his grandfather, since he won many Grammys and some Oscars. When Somebody Loved Me was also nominated, but only won a Satellite Award. Everybody who knows the movie can take a nap now, since I want to give you a brief outline so you know the context of the song. The cowboy Woody is the favorite toy of young boy Andy, and unfortunately he gets kidnapped. When bad guy Fat Al keeps him prisoner, he becomes acquainted with fellow captives Jesse and Stinky Pete, who are meant to be sold to a Japanese museum. When he tries to escape to get back to Andy, the other two try to warn him, since Andy will grow up and is going to get rid of him anyway. When Woody doesn't believe, Jesse tries to convince him by a song which sounds like this. Of course, the main focus of attention lies within the voice, which tells us the story of poor Jesse who was abandoned by Emily. Usually, a song is written with rhymes, but not this one. There's almost no rhyme, which makes it more convincing, since it sounds like a short story, that this is a true event which actually happened, and not an artificial pop song created for the movie. Even if you can tell from listening that the song will be in a major key, the beginning is in a minor one, and therefore raises the expectation of a sad song following. This aspect is supported by an unusual chord progression with a descending bass line. We have D minor chord, and then a D minor with seventh, G major, B flat minor with sixth, and F major. Since we cannot predict what happens next in the chord progression, the listener is not supposed to feel very comfortable. I say that because in this beginning there are some chords which need to be resolved, at least from a traditional point of view. The G major to C, and the B flat minor to C as well. I think he's setting a mood for, okay, what comes next? And not like, oh, that was a nice introduction. The second part of the intro is, in addition to that, something we call psi motive, which is frequently used by, for instance, Bach, when he wanted to illustrate hurt or suffering within his music. you can feel the sighs within, due to the ties and the descending line. Afterwards, the actually song starts, and the first part sounds like this. Some of you might have noticed that this chord progression is a very common one. It is called Monte sequence and is very often used in operas such as Handel's Hänsel and Gretel by Humperdinck and famous composers such as Bach. Listen, for example, to his prelude in B-flat major from the first part of his Well-Tempered Clavinova. Monte is Latin for mountain, and this term was used because the music seems to climb up a mountain in contrast to the Fonte sequence, which is a cycle of fifth. Played slowly, the Monte sequence reveals a chain of dominant tonic relations. We can observe F major to B flat, G major to C, and A major to D minor. Well hidden by the rhythm, but it's still there. We can see and feel that the pitches, especially the bass line, are raised up by the harmony. In contrast to the very beginning, it's an ascending line which supports the text, due to the fact that Jesse was happy back then. Everything was fine. The most interesting part about this sequence, which I want you to notice, is the middle voice, which consists of a chromatic line. After that, there follows the second part of the verse, sounding like this. In this part, even the harmonic progression is very nice. The main focus is on the melody, which imitates the psi motive from the very beginning and indicates the twist which is going to appear soon. In addition to that, we can feel that the music is going downwards, again indicated in the bass line. That's in contrast to the first part of the verse in which we discovered an ascending bass line. The very free use of the tempo in both parts we've looked at so far by Accelerandi and Ritardandi enhances the feeling of sadness and makes it very emotional. After that, the beginning of the song is repeated and therefore reveals the three-part song form. A song by Schubert would probably now be over, but now there's this audible break. Until now there was a musical flow of segments with three accents. Which is now broken by a D minor chord. Suddenly the music seems to stop. For me it feels a little bit like a recitativo, which is used in many operas when there's something really important which needs to be said. Underlining the words, "but she began to drift away," the music starts again with a faster movement of chords, ending with a cadence to D minor. The progression here is very noticeable since it is in contrast to the first part of the song, not well known, but weird in a positive way. D minor, B flat minor with sixth, C major, second inversion, G major, G diminished, F major, F minor, G minor, A major, D minor. But looking a little bit closer, it revealed something familiar. An ascending chromatic line was significant for the first part, the Monte sequence. This time, it's a descending one, hidden in the middle voices. The chords, which seem random at first glance, are part of a chromatical line downwards. By using the same key only in minor, and the same idea which was characteristic for the first part of the music, Newman creates a network of relations between these two parts. To the words, "Still I'm waiting for the day," we have a melodical line which could be easily harmonized in F minor, which was still related to the first part. But here the music takes a wrong turn, and all of a sudden we are in A flat minor instead of F minor. As if the music would say, "Sorry Jesse, you have to wait for that moment a very long time." To surprise the listener, he uses the triad A flat minor instead of F minor, which have the pitch A flat in common, a procedure frequently used by, for example, Schubert. Including this one, the following chords are also peculiar. We can observe B flat minor, C major, and A flat minor, E flat minor, A flat minor, C major. But in these cases we can perceive a chromatical line as well. I played it loudly in the left hand. Again, I always played a pitch which was contained in one of the chords. Therefore, the piece embodies a huge network of chromatic lines, which keeps it together. Also noticeable is the massive leap between I and you in the line "I will always love you." By the long journey from D minor via A flat minor to E flat minor, the massive leap between me and you, and the many chromatical lines which often indicates hurt and suffering, remember Bach, the music tells us that something went completely wrong in the relationship between Jesse and Emily. And now, Randy makes something really cruel. To the words, "Lonely and forgotten, never thought she'd looked my way, but she smiled at me and held me just like she used to do," the same melody from the beginning sounds. Since it is connected to happiness, we should hit the hay and think, "Pooh, everything is going to turn out fine." But it won't. As for the instrumentation in middle voices, since Randy wants us to pay close attention to the text, he uses very few middle voices and only a piano and stringed instruments. For this reason, we are not distracted by anything and listen and enjoy the lead vocal and the text. In my opinion, Randy came up with the melody from the first part, recognizing he can harmonize it with the Monte sequence. Of course, he knows about the characteristic of the sequence and used it to create this wonderful piece of music with its great network of chromatical lines.